Hello, everybody. Welcome back to an episode of My Thoughts. This I mentioned it in the last My Thoughts episode. This is a part two to my thoughts on Breaking Bad episode that we did last week. It's pretty much a part two. This is just my thoughts on Better Call Saul, and I figured because Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad go together anyway. The shows. It's a kind of a prequel and also like a sequel too, like towards the end of Better Call Saul. Since the shows pretty much go together anyway, I figured I'd make the My Thoughts episodes go together anyway and make a kind of a part one with the Breaking Bad My Thoughts and a part two with the Better Call Saul My Thoughts. Now, I would do El Camino, which is the Breaking Bad movie that actually came out. It also has something, it's kind of I think it's in between the ending of Breaking Bad and the beginning of Better Call Saul. Not really the beginning of Better Call Saul, just kind of like between the ending of Breaking Bad and like towards the end of Better Call Saul, where you see Saul working as Gene and like kind of the black. If you ever watch Better Call Saul, there's the black and white scenes which signify it was after the events of Breaking Bad. So I think it's between the ending of Breaking Bad and the black and white scenes in Better Call Saul. Now that came out in 2019, so it's a little bit after Breaking Bad actually ended. Now I'm probably not going to do my thoughts on that just because it's kind of like it's a great movie. Now I would definitely encourage you to watch it because it's like if you're a Breaking Bad fan, I watched it and it's a great movie, and I would definitely recommend it. I'm just probably not going to make it my thoughts on it, just because I'm not too interested in making my thoughts. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm not. I really wanted to make it more or less about the main two shows. So kind of like the part one and the part two, gonna kind of go hand in hand together. But hopefully you understand my reasoning for that. But yeah, without further ado, we're just gonna get right into it. It's kind of gonna be like the Breaking Bad episode. I have watched Better Call Saul in its entirety. I don't like it as much as Breaking Bad, and we're going to get into that a little bit later on why I really don't. But it's pretty much going to be like the last episode for the Breaking Bad, my thoughts. I'm just going to be giving my raw thoughts on it and telling you what I think about it. So it's pretty interesting enough. The black and white scenes that I was mentioning earlier, it signifies the ending. And when it shows black and white scenes in Better Call Saul, it signifies that it happened after the events of Breaking Bad. Now, what's interesting enough, I really like the black and white scenes. I think they're interesting. Now, there will be spoilers, just like the Breaking Bad My Thoughts, so just, you know, um, if you don't want to get spoilers for Better Call Saul, don't watch this video. But there will be spoilers, so just fair warning ahead. Now, I personally really like the black and white scenes. Now, there really aren't that much of the black and white scenes because it really does tell what happened in between Breaking Bad. It tells what happened to Saul. It tells Saul's story before the events of Breaking Bad, kind of during the events, and then after the events with the black and white scene. Now, as far as the black and white scenes go, there's only at episode one of every season, there's a black and white scene. It's like 5 or 10 minutes, and I really find those interesting because it's Gene. It's actually Saul living under the fake alias of Gene Takovic, and he's working at Cinnabon as a Cinnabon manager, which is kind of what he said he was going to do anyway at the end of Breaking Bad. And some people say that he's living out his nightmare because obviously he really wanted to do law and be like a lawyer and all that, which I don't blame him. But he hates it there. If you watch the scenes, he's like really nervous. He doesn't want to be found out, obviously. And if you really watch the scenes, you can find it on YouTube too, actually. But that's one of the most interesting parts. And then towards the end, in season 6, towards the end of Better Call Saul, there's more. It shows like what Gene does, kind of like how he gets caught and as Saul. But we're gonna get into that. But I'm really gonna be talking about the main story. So the main story, like I said, takes place in between Breaking Bad and kind of like before Breaking Bad with Saul. Now, I watched the first season when I first watched it. I really enjoyed it. I liked the first season. And like I said, I'm going to give the ranking like kind of like the Breaking Bad, like I said. Now, I'll probably rank season 1 7.5 out of 10. Now, some of these rankings are going to be low because there's some parts about Better Call Saul that I really didn't like. I didn't like the show as much as I probably did Breaking Bad, but it was an interesting enough show. And like I said, we're going to get into all that. But 7.5 out of 10 for season 1 because I really enjoyed it and liked how the pacing was. Now, season 2, especially towards like the middle third of season 2, it kind of went really slow. I felt like it wasn't really going anywhere, and I didn't really enjoy it as much as probably I would like a Breaking Bad episode. And I understand the shows are kind of intertwined, but they're also very different, and like the storytelling and everything like that. But I just didn't like the season 2 as much as I did especially season 2 and 3, I just felt like they kind of went slower and didn't really explain a lot, like I originally kind of thought it was, especially based off the first season. So I think season 2 I would rank probably a 4 out of 10. Now that's only because I feel like it kind of got boring, especially with the Sandpiper and Associates crap that Saul had to go through. If you watch the series, you'll know what I mean. I just hate it. Okay, I'm just being brutally honest, and this is my opinion. Everybody has their own opinions, each to their own. But I just really hated season 2 of Better Call Saul particularly. Now it wasn't all bad. There were some scenes and some episodes that I did like, but I just felt like more or less the entire season went like it just went really slow, and it wasn't the pace that I was expecting. And season 3 was alright. Same thing, kind of went slow and wasn't the pace I was expecting. So I'd rank season 2 and 3 4.5 out of 10, and that was just because of the pacing and kind of how boring it kind of went. And some things in the actual seasons were annoying, and there were just certain things that I didn't really like. Now, season 4 and 5, I watched it, but I didn't watch it as much as like I watched the whole show. Like, don't get me wrong, but I didn't watch season 4 and 5. I skipped like an episode or two, I think, on each season, which I probably shouldn't have. But I kind of got bored and didn't really want to watch the show. There was a point in time I watched it actually a few months ago and I finished it. And I didn't really want to have too much motivation, especially after the first 3 seasons. But I watched it. I skipped an episode here or there, but I don't think it was anything too crazy. I don't think I missed anything too crazy. Plus, I looked stuff up. But I enjoyed season 4 and 5. It was okay. I would probably rank them both probably a 7 out of 10, just because of the stuff I watched. From the stuff I watched, it was a good season, or 2 good seasons that I really enjoyed myself. I really liked it. And season 6 is probably my favorite season of all time, and I'm going to get into that. And the season 6 particularly is what I watched the most of. I feel like I actually watched a few episodes, like I repeated a few episodes and kind of rewatched them, particularly in season 6. So I have more to talk about in season 6, particularly as well. Now, season 6 is where we're going to get into some of the spoilers. Now, I think the season 5 kind of well, not really season 5, I should say. The middle of season 6 is kind of bridges the gap between Better Call Saul in Breaking Bad and the events of after Breaking Bad with the black and white scenes. It kind of bridges the gap. So after, I'd say like the middle of season 6, it goes back to the black and white scenes. And if you watch it, it'll be Gene, or Saul as Gene, and he's doing some new schemes so he doesn't get caught. Working at Cinnabon and stuff like that, which I like I said, I really enjoyed the black and white scenes, even though there really wasn't that much of them. I really enjoyed the black and white scenes, and I liked how they kind of played that out. And I think the black and white kind of storytelling that they do is really interesting, which I like that. Now nothing too interesting happens in the black and white scenes until like the very end, so it's not. I'm not trying to make it out as it's some like big thing, but they are fun to watch. It's just kind of weird, but if you watch the show, you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's fun. Now towards the end, now Better Call Saul actually didn't end that long ago. It ended in like August of 2022, so probably not like it's like a year or two. It's been ended for like a year or two, which is a pretty good amount, but it didn't end too long ago. Like the season finale, I remember watching the season finale like when it actually aired. But I didn't actually watch the entire show at that point. I watched the show in its entirety. Just a few months ago. I finished it a few months ago. But I did watch the season finale when it first came out. But it didn't really mean that much when I knew nothing about the show. So I forgot to mention that out. But yeah, the season finale is great. And here's when I'm going to talk about the spoilers. So Saul gets caught as Gene because Marion calls the cops. She's the old lady. She calls the cops, and because she figures out it's him through an old Saul Goodman commercial, and Saul gets caught by the cops, and then he eventually goes to trial, and goes to trial for everything he did, like with Walter and everything like that, and becomes accessory to murder. With all that stuff he did, he talked himself down to 7 years in prison, and for all that stuff, that's actually a pretty good deal because he pleaded himself out as a victim because he was pretty much said that he was scared that if he didn't do what Walt said, he was going to kill him. And he talked himself down to 7 years. And for all that stuff that he did with RICO violations and all that, it was actually a pretty good deal that he cooked up there for himself. But eventually, he decides to talk to the judge, and he lied about all the stuff, and he pretty much confesses and ends up getting 86 years. So instead of 7, he gets 86 years. And a lot of fans have a reason to why he confessed to his crimes that he committed and talked himself up to 86 years. And the government sentencing recommendation was 7 years, but he talked himself into 86 years. Now, why would he do that? A lot of fans have different speculations because it was never 100%. It was never 100% explained in the show, and I think that's why I left it for fan speculation. Now, he did it. I think he did it. Now, my personal theory is because he did it, he didn't want to go back as Gene, because if he got out, he would probably have to go back as, like, he couldn't be a lawyer anymore. Like, he hated Gene, being Gene, and I think he just didn't want to go back to that lifestyle, and I think he really just wanted to be Jimmy, which is what his real name is. It's not Saul. But he really just wanted to go back to being Jimmy in the prison, which is my personal theory, but that's left up to everybody else's imagination, and whatever other fans think. Yeah, that's cool too. But that's my personal theory on why he wanted to get 86 years instead of 7. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of the show. It wasn't my favorite show. I watched it, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I probably did Breaking Bad, which is why I didn't have too much to talk about. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on Better Call Saul. I enjoyed the show. Don't get me wrong. It's a great show, and there was great storytelling. Like I said, I just probably didn't enjoy it as much as Breaking Bad. It wasn't 100% my style, especially with some of the other episodes and seasons going a little bit slower, going a little bit slower, and it just wasn't kind of my style like Breaking Bad was. But it's a great show, and I think if you find the right genre, like if it's your kind of type of thing, if you watch a show, and I think it's a lot of other people's thing. I feel like a lot of other people would enjoy it. And again, not to say that I hated it or didn't enjoy it. There are just some things that I did hate and did enjoy. But it is kind of a love-hate relationship, just to put it lightly and simply. Just a love-hate relationship with me personally and Better Call Saul. Now, there are other people who did really enjoy the show, and like I said earlier, each to their own. And this is just 100% my opinion, so everybody else has different opinions on the show, which is fine, it makes us all different. Yeah, my final thoughts on Better Call Saul is I didn't enjoy it as much as Breaking Bad, but it was a good show with good storytelling, and it was enjoyable enough to watch. Just particularly the finale I really enjoyed. I think they did that really well, and I really enjoyed it, and I think they did a really good job on it, and I think a lot of other people could appreciate it, like I said, depending on their kind of genre that they like. But again, I would probably recommend the show to anybody who would want to watch it, is into like lawyer stuff. It's mainly, like I said, obviously focused on Saul as like a lawyer and the law and everything, and how he builds up his law firm. And if you're into that kind of stuff, I think this is kind of the show for you. It also is a drama kind of series, so if you're into that kind of stuff, I would highly recommend it. And yeah, if you have watched Better Call Saul, or if you are currently watching it, which, I mean, there were spoilers, so you spoiled it for yourself. I should say, if you watch the full series of Better Call Saul, comment down below what you think. Comment down below what you also think of this episode, of my thoughts, whatever it is. Whether you disagree with what I think of the show or you agree with me, whatever it is it may be, comment that all down below. Let's discuss it. And yeah, with all that being said, make sure to subscribe for more content, like the video, all good stuff. Discord, Twitch, Instagram. Links in the description. And I will see you guys in the next video.